Suddenly now, if you have an opinion, even if it's a wisp of opinion, and a certain crowd, hard left usually, doesn't want to hear it, then you become a racist, a villain, or one of the great catalog of phobes that they have manufactured.
Rex Murphy, thank you for taking the time to join me here today. I'm actually quite excited. I grew up, believe it or not, as going through high school, the unusual kind of politically interested student that I was. Looking forward to every Thursday to watch your point of view segment.
You have a damaged mind.
Okay. I didn't agree with 100% of them, but I always found them interesting.
To that degree, it's not damaged.
But no, it's really. It's an honor really here to be talking to you about this important issue. And the important issue, of course, is free speech and cancel culture. And as someone who's been in the media for so long as you have, you've obviously seen this in different angles of it. And I mean, you have, the list goes on and on. You have the UBC prof.
You could make a list of 50 examples.
Fired for liking a tweet, or UBC administrator Don Cherry, probably most famously for basically telling people to wear a poppy. What's going on here?
And you know, Stockwell Day, 3.5 to 4 years on a CBC panel, and he makes an innocent, it may be errant, but an innocent comparison of being bullied because of his eyesight to being bullied because of skin color. Might have been somewhat in awkward taste, but he was zipped up and fired over the wharf within 30 seconds. And even on that ridiculous power in politics, the host, who's had his grace and courtesy for 4 years, never even had the courage to say, well, that was unhappy, but he was a really good guy for all the time that he was here for us. That's a prominent example, but as you say, there are hundreds. Professors getting fired, classes getting stormed. Go back to not the beginning, far from the beginning, when Jordan Peterson, an eminently scholarly professor, puts out an argument, and I stress the word argument, on a university campus. That's 3 or 4 years ago now, and gets stormtrooped, and shut him down. Peterson must be fired. And the University of Toronto itself, the administration of that university, a center of intellectual inquiry, wrote 2 threatening letters to him. And here he is, an international scholar, man of standing, and he was using logic and reason and making a good point with no personalities. And yet, the one that hovers over me since that particular episode, all the major professors of all the major universities in this country have tenure. It's not like Stalin's Russia. They can say and do much like they wish to. They can hardly ever get fired except if they burn down a convent. I can't recall one tenured professor at the University of Toronto who said, I disagree utterly with Peterson's view on this thing, but he is a professor and he is making an argument, and the university or its students should not mob him. As you've said at the very beginning here, if you read enough, and I do a fair bit of that, hundreds and hundreds of examples in media, in business, in corporations, even that stupid Chick-fil-A. Suddenly now, if you have an opinion, even if it's a wisp of opinion, and a certain crowd, hard left usually, doesn't want to hear it, then you become a racist, a villain, or one of the great catalog of phobes that they have manufactured.
It appears to me that it's almost like this new, and it's in the media, and like you said, it normally comes from the hard left, it's almost like a new religion.
It is a religion. It's a way of morally distinguishing. It's a shallow religion, it's a false religion, it's a fraud religion. But the mentality behind it is, if I have this view on X or Y, this is the sacred view. This one came down from the mount that was inscribed on the tablets. Now you poor fool, you've been thinking about it for yourself, and your opinion is different from mine. But I'm the virtuous person, and you're the absurd, malignant clown that has a different view than me. So you got to be stopped. I have to be hailed. And internally, it is the sanctimony and the righteousness of people. It's a secular doctrine. Hard left politics is a doctrine as much as any dogma of any church, of any faith whatsoever. But this is a crucial point. It's only in the last 4 or 5 years in the West where we are reputedly free, that this push to have one-dimensional thought. Not only do you not argue with me, I insist that you endorse the view you deplore. I'm tired of cliche comparisons to George Orwell in 1984. I'm tired of them. But you know, it's probably the only one that's there. Truth is false. Why are people who are advocating with such ferocity, such lunatic views, given such authoritative presence? And you have it even in the States with the great riots that are going on. The number of people getting killed in the riots is more than the number of people they're alleging were killed. But to say these things, as Jordan Peterson said about pronouns, or as Stockwell was arguing that maybe bullying is not a problem confined just to race. I can go on and on and on. I have never seen in the universities, in the corporations, in the professions, this idea of putting your hand on your own mouth because the person next to me may have one of those right opinions. And if he or she hears me saying something, then you go to the internet and you howl on Twitter and you have what's the equivalent of a metaphorical lynching. How many people's careers have been collapsed because some crowd of anonymous mob strikes all of a sudden at once simultaneously, and then the corporation apologizes? That's the other thing. When people who are attacked, the professor out the chairman, the administrator at BC, the university, he was right. Now I understand what happens when he gets attacked, but he should never have apologized. And Stockwell, that's the only thing I'll fault him on. He's a very decent man. I happen to know him. The only thing I fault Stockwell for was that he felt he had to apologize. Don't. It's the most backward intellectual and social and political phenomenon that I have seen.
How did we get here?
Laziness. I think that the prosperity, which if you understand these things in relative terms, compared to almost all of the countries of the world, is 180 plus. And even in my corner of the world, I was born a long while ago, in the early days of 1950, post-Confederation Newfoundland time. We had a lot of catch-up. But the majority of Canadians, compared to the flow of countries in the world, we've had it so good. We don't have famines. We haven't had a civil war. We haven't even a natural calamity or catastrophe. We don't have bitter infighting between the provinces to the point of blood, maybe the FLQ. Our standard of living is superlative. Educational facilities, health facilities, all this built by generations that were before you and I. We're receiving, they built and gave. And we came in after the wars, after the Depression, after people who were taught by life that some resilience is necessary, and that occasionally some resistance to trend is forced upon you by the morality of genuine morality. And so we woke into this. We toy with absurd doctrines. Our universities have, intellectually on the art side, have savagely declined. They're in the business on the arts, not the sciences. The humanities now, at least in the studies field, as Jordan Peterson refers to them, they're propaganda agents. They're teaching attitude, not thought. And if you don't concur with the attitudes of those hard-left views, then, well, what are you doing? Feminism. Look at Janice Fiamengo. Anyone who counters hardline feminism is just smashed around the internet like he or she was a dog. Here's the thing for you to think about. Is it not strange that if you want to have a debate about a central cultural issue, we're not fighting or anything, that you've got to be cautious. Why can't you say something about any of these major issues? The gender pronoun stuff. Well, businesses have been closed down because they are like this. And then women who don't buy the doctrine are savagely attacked. I mean, savage. Look, even J.K. Rowling, yeah. The goddess of the young novel. And somehow or other, she could be a favorite and a darling but you said something wrong about this. Oh, well, in that case, you are nothing but one of the monsters in your own book. Get off, go away. You're not fit to talk to me. You see the me again? And you see the arrogance and the sanctimony. This is precious doctrine. Whereas, at least when I was in, say, your age, if you were in a university, you could take this point of view or that. I used to debate a lot. You could debate, in a sense, almost extreme views, clash. I used to take the side that I didn't believe in. I always wanted the side that I actually opposed, because that made your mind work better. Make the argument for the opinion you do not agree with, and it will clarify the opinion you do. It will test it. But in this new world, the cancel world, there's no such thing as testing an opinion. It's almost like an interior censor board or Stalinism abstracted. There's no army or no Secret Service or KGB coming to get you. But there is Twitter, and we can build our bamboo ambushes there, and we'll get you if you say the wrong thing about X, Y, Z. Anyway, it's the worst thing I've seen. It came from prosperity, the lack of challenge in many cases. We didn't sharpen intellectual or life skills. I mean, when everyone walks around today, I know this is also a cliche, with electronics in their hand, that in terms of the knowledge that's contained therein and the ingenuity that went in the building of that machine and the ideas behind it, that's 1,000 years from 1950. So much. I remember my father couldn't afford it, but he got conned. He bought the whole Encyclopedia Britannica. He was a poor man. And in those days, that was $500-600, which today would be almost $10,000 for him to do that, because he thought I was going to read the damn things. That was a great, great sacrifice. 1/10 of an inch on your smartphone has all that, and 10,000 times more. And here we are. We got all this. We got food. We got security. We've got civilized behavior. We got a Canadian civil code that's kept us well. And people are running around trying to, declaim that we're gone off on some authoritarian track, or you shouldn't say this at university. I think it's complacency, and it doesn't matter how many times the experiment fails. If we insist it's going to be tried again, you better try it again. Again, there are people who say it is better than I, and there are people who have taken more strong public position. But it's been true that Canadians and Americans and Western Europeans have been drawing this little blind over what they really think and feel, and then there comes an explosion. At some point, repression doesn't work, and we saw that example in Brexit. There's a whole lot of people out there that don't think like you, but because they're feeling that the shame that comes over them from the left, they decide to shut their mouths. Well, that only lasts so long, and then you have political response.
One of those main issues, you brought up a whole slew of them where this is obviously happening, is this whole kind of claim that Canada is a systemically racist, apartheid South Africa, and you, I feel, were the first person to stick their neck out on this topic, and you got rebuked. I know Conrad Black did as well, and he lost a radio appearance or something.
Oh, yeah, there's all sorts of things.
And you kind of got rebuked by your own paper that was publishing you. Can you kind of talk about what you wrote? Because I read it, and I shared it, and I thought, how could anyone disagree with this?
It was an innocuous opinion. So there was a storm of a sort. I don't mind arguments, so I did. I really did say to them both, go ahead, print another. I don't. That's the point. I didn't jump on my critic, and I certainly didn't try to have any penalty attached. I let it ride. On the internet, I think I got swaddled across the head a few times, but who cares? I mean, the opinion of a Twitter mob is not beneath contempt. It's in some other room altogether. One point I will make before we leave it off. We all have opinions. Most of us are not extremists. There are bigots in Canada. There are bigots in Newfoundland. There are bigots in Nigeria. There are bigots in China. It's a part of the human element. But to suggest that by far the majority structure of the country itself has a hostility to one particular segment of the Canadian population is a slander and should not be allowed to stand. The curiosity about mine is the one that you picked out. That was an innocuous opinion. I didn't mention any names in it, so you didn't have that personal byplay. And I just pointed out the obvious. We are welcoming. We have a very progressive immigration policy. We offer health services whatever we can. We participate in international efforts to other countries than our own. We welcome the Vietnamese immigrants. That was a big one. The small towns of Newfoundland, one of them I lived in, 500, 600 people. Now, there might have been rough words But we're a welcoming bunch. And if you went down 10 years later, you'd see this. No, don't slander your own country.
And I think you kind of pointed out, if Canada in 2020 is a racist country, what isn't?
Well, yeah, what isn't? Anyway, I won't bring up the counter examples, and I won't bring up the horrors of Nazism and totalitarianism. There have been really deep, murderous policies in the last 100 years of countries that actually subscribed to evil systems. And over here, we almost got to find something to fight about. We got to stir up the dust merely to throw it at each other. If you had a history of Albania or Romania or any of the Eastern Bloc countries or East Germany, you wouldn't be worried about whether you should use a double pronoun, and you certainly wouldn't be energizing Twitter mobs to attack other people because of grammar or the weather. So no, we're not. The fact that I can say it and that someone can rebut it in the very next minute on the same paper, that's pretty open. Anyway, it was a trivial thing, and it was a waste of time.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that story with us and your thoughts on free speech and articulating. I know you said that there's other people that can do it better than you, but in this country, I'm really not sure that there is.
You should never have listened when you were in high school. Your mind has been hurt.
Oh,
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay.